Begin today the Gemara on Daf Pei Hey Amud Bey, 7 lines up from the bottom of the Yomad. We're speaking about the Goin of Nefesh, a person that kidnaps, where there's a Chi of Misa, and the pasuk it says that he has to steal, and this Amr boy, he used him, to serve him and so on, and then he sold him. That's the Chi of Misa. So Tanir Rabbanan we learned in the Braise, Ki Yimotzei Ish Goin of Nefesh Me'echov. There's two places in the Torah where it says this Isser. One place in Parshas Kiseitze it says this pasuk. So what is this pasuk saying? Ein liyele ish. So here it says that there's a man that kidnaps. I would think only a man. Ein liyele ish shegonav isha minayin. How do we know if it's a woman that is kidnapping that the same chiyuv, the same misa would apply to her as well? Talmud Loimar, the pasuk says in another place, v'gainev ish. In Parshas Mishpatim it says v'gainev, one that steals or kidnaps a man. So here it doesn't say a man that kidnaps. It says v'gainev. Now, ein liyele ish shegonav. So now, based on these two psukim that we just said, I would think that this is a case of a man that's kidnapping, bein isha or bein ish, whether he kidnaps a woman or he kidnaps a man. And also, as we brought from the second pasuk, v'isha shegonva ish, or a woman that kidnaps as well and she kidnaps a man. However, now isha shegonva isha minayin. How do I know if it's one woman that kidnaps another woman that the same chiyuv, the same misa would apply? Talmud Loimar. So in the pasuk, it concludes and it says, Umeis Haganavahu, that this Ganav dies. So the word Haganav here is extra. It says in the beginning of the pasuk, it's speaking about this Ganav. So why does it mention again Haganav? Mikol Mokim. Any kind of kidnapping, even including a woman that kidnaps another woman. Atan Yedach, in another brayse we learned, Ki Yimotzei Ish Gainev Nefesh Me'echov. You had a man that steals a soul, another person from amongst the brothers. So this is Echad Gainev is Ish. So over here, we darshan that it includes whether he's stealing a man, kidnapping ve'echad agoynev is isha, or a woman, ve'echad ger, ve'echad eved meshuchrer, whether a ger as well, or a slave, ve'eved kanani that was freed, which is also a ger, or ve'katan, even a child, chayiv. In all these cases, he's going to be chayiv. That's why it says here nefesh. Nefesh means any Jewish soul. It doesn't matter how, what. Now, gonvoy v'lei machroi, in a case where he kidnapped, but he did not then sell him. So he's kidnapping him and then selling him as a slave. But in a case where he kidnapped and he did not sell him as a slave, or machrei, he did sell him. But however, the person that he's kidnapping, he never took him out of his house. He sold him to someone, but the person that he's selling is still in his own house. So in both of these cases, potter. He'll be potter. Because it has to be both that he's kidnapped him, brought him into his house, and then he sold him as a slave. Only then will he be chayiv misa.
So then ransom is not in this category?
What kind of a case is that, ransom?
He kidnaps the child, he calls up the parents, says, give me $1 million or we'll never see a kid again.
It's not included in this. Doesn't seem like it, no. Now, who did he sell him to? If he kidnaps, and then he sells this person that he kidnapped to his own father, or to his brother, or to another relative, chayiv. He'll still be chayiv for this. Hagoyin is avadim, one that is kidnapping a slave, an evet kanani, potter. So for this, he'll be potter. No, it's not. This is the brayse, the way it was quoted here. Now the Gemara says, Tani kamed Rav Sheshes. A Tane taught this brayse in front of Rav Sheshes, where the brayse said that if one kidnaps and then sells this person to his own family member, and that in such a case he'll still be chayiv. On Malay, so Rav Sheshes said to him, Ani shoyne, I learned that Rav Shimon said, Me'echov. It says in the pasuk that you kidnapped Gainev ish nefesh, again, Ki matze ish Gainev nefesh me'echov. That you kidnapped him from amongst his family, from amongst his brothers. What does that mean? That you're only going to be chayiv if you kidnapped him and took him away from his family. Not if you kidnap him and then sell him to somebody of his family members. And so if this is what Rab Shimon darshan from the word me'echov, so then how are you saying this brayse that we just quoted that says opposite? That you kidnap and sell to a family member that you would be chayiv. So therefore he said, Tani potter. Rav Sheshes said to the Tana, to the one that taught this brayse, you have to switch it and say that in such a case, when one kidnaps and sells to a family member, you will be potter. Now the Gemara asks on this, why did Rav Sheshes say that you have to switch the gears of the brayse? My kushya, what's the question? Maybe there's an argument here. It's two different brayses. Dilme ha Rab Shimon and ha Rabbanon. Maybe this brayse is Rab Shimon that he just quoted here. And then the brayse quoted before, maybe that is a different opinion. That's the Rabbanon. So the Gemara says, Lo yisal kedaitach. We can't say there's an argument about this because the brisa that was quoted before is also a brisa that has to be according to Rab Shimon. Now the brisa that the Gemara quoted before, what's the source of this brisa? It's a brisa that's from the Sifri. The Sifri, so it's from the Sifri. So therefore the Gemara now says as follows. Lo yisal kedaitach. You cannot say that the brisa before is an argument. Because the Amar Rabbi Yochanan said the following rule. Stam as Nisan, Rab Meir. When you see a Stam Mishnah with no name, who is it? It's Rab Meir speaking. Stam Tosefta, when you see a Tosefta, which are the Brises, it's Rab Nechemia. Who is the Stam Tosefta? It's Rab Nechemia. I think the Mefarshim say that this Tosefta that the Gemara is talking about here is not the regular Tosefta that we have in the back of the Gemara. It's a different Tosefta. And this is Rab Nechemia. Stam Sifra, when you have a Sifra, the Sifra is the Teres Kainim. That's the Medrash, the Brises that's on Chumash Vayikra. That's Rabbi Yehuda. And Stam Sifri, a Sifri, which is the Medrash, the Brises that are in the Chumash of Bamidbar and Devarim, that's called Sifri, that's Rab Shimon. That's Rab Shimon. So therefore the Brises that we quoted before must be Rab Shimon as well because it's from the Sifri. And then Rabbi Yochanan concluded, "V'kulu aliva de Rabbi Akiva." It's all according to Rabbi Akiva because Rabbi Akiva was their teacher, and therefore it's all what they learned from Rabbi Akiva. So therefore we can't say it's a machlokes. It's all Rab Shimon, and therefore in a case where a person kidnaps and sells his own family, you're going to be potter because of that drasha that Rab Shimon said from the word me'echov. Okay, now going back to what it said, Hagaynev is benoi, if someone kidnaps his own son. So in such a case, in our Mishnah before, on Daf Pei Yomid Beis, it brought a machlekes. Rabbi Shmuel says that one that kidnaps his own son and then sells him will also be chayiv, and Chachamim say that you potter. Says the Gemara, my time with the Rabbanon. What's the reason that the Rabbanon say that in such a case you'll be potter? Amar Abaye, because the Amakra, the pasuk says ki yemotze. And the term ki yemotze means that if it will happen, if you will find a person that you kidnap him and sell him, then you chayiv. Prat lemotze. This excludes such a case where a person is kidnapping his own child that lives by him in his home, that's always available to him, and he sells him. In such a case, you're not chayiv misa for this. Amalei Rav Papa Abaye. So Rav Papa says to Abaye, if that's the way you translate the words ki yemotze, so ela meyate. If so, regarding the isar of arayis by eshes ish. The Torah that uses the term ki yemotze ish sheichevim misha bolas bal. That if it's found that one person goes and has a relation with another woman that's already married. So how are you going to tarshim the word ki yemotze there? Hachanami ki yemotze means prat lemotze. Ki yemotze over there also means that this issa only applies in a situation where it's a woman that's an eshes ish and she's not living with her husband in your home. So if so, kagoin shall base pliny deshchichan gabayu in that home. Rashi says that Rav Papa was referring over here to a certain home with the families that there were more than one couple that were living in the same home, and it was inappropriate that they were living together in the same home. So are you going to say that because they're all living in the same home, so Chanami the Petiri, over there the Isra of Eshes Ish will not apply because they're all living in the same home? How could you say that ki yemotze over there means to exclude that if it's available that you would be potter? Doesn't make sense in such a case. So Amalei. So Abaye answered, you're right. The word ki yemotze itself, it's not the meaning of the word that I'm darshaning. Ano mi v'nimtza b'yadeka. Actually, I darshan a different pasuk because there's an extra pasuk. The pasuk says v'nimtza v'gaynev ishum l'charay, and then it says v'nimtza b'yadei ma'astumas. That v'nimtza b'yadei is extra. So he's darshaning because it's extra words, and that you say that v'nimtza b'yadei excludes a case where this is his own child that he kidnapped that's always by him. That's the drasha. So now based on this, Omar Rava says, Hilkoch, from here we could learn that the Chachamim say that a parent that's kidnapping a child and selling him would be potter. Why? Because he's always available by him, he lives in his house. So similar we could say, Hani Mikri Dardiki. If you have a teacher of children and the children that he's teaching are always by him. And similar also, Umasnu Rabbanon, someone that teaches two students, he teaches them Torah. Kimitzuyim biyadan damu. It's that they're always available in their hands to the teacher or to the teacher of children or someone that teaches Torah to Chachamim upetiri. And therefore, if he kidnaps and sells them, he'll be potter as well, just like a parent that does this to a child. The next thing it said in the Mishnah, Gonav mi shechetze v'chulu. If one steals someone that's not a complete Eved, as we saw before, if you steal an Eved Kanani, you kidnap Eved Kanani, and then you sell him to someone else, you potter. But now, if it's a case where this is someone which is a half Eved Kanani and half Yid, he was half freed because he was owned by partners, then he was half freed. So in such a case, it's a machlokes in the Mishnah. So in the Mishnah it said that Rabbi Yehuda says you'll still be chayiv, and the Chachamim say you're potter. So the Gemara here brings the source of this machlokes. So but first it brings what Rabbi Yehuda said in another place. Tanan Hasam, we learned in the Mishnah in Bava Kama, Rabbi Yehuda says, Ein la'avodim baishes. When one hurts or injures an eved, so by a yid, when one injures another yid, there's different modes of payment. Tsar, nezek, ripui, sheves, and one of them is baishes. You have to pay for embarrassment. But by a eved kanani, there's no payment for embarrassment. My time, the Rabbi Yehuda. So what's the explanation of Rabbi Yehuda's opinion there? Because Omakra, the pasuk says, Ki yinotzu anoshim yachtov ish va'achiv. There were men fighting with one another, and it's a man and his brother. That's the parsha, that's the pasuk where it speaks about the payment of baishes. And it says in the Torah the term achiv, a brother. So from this we learn out, mi sheyesh lo achva. Only by one that there's brotherlyhood, there's a payment of baishes. Yotza eved she'ein lo achva. By an eved, he has no brotherlyhood. And Rashi says this doesn't only mean that he's not a brother with Yidden, but b'chlal, the whole yichus to a family does not apply by an eved Kanani, because by the eved, by Eliezer, which was an eved, the pasuk says, "Shvulachan payam achamer." That he then when Avraham Avinu went by the Akedah, he says, "Stay here with the donkey." And from that, the Gemara dashens, "Am hachamer, am adayma lachamer." That he's similar to a donkey that doesn't have the yachas, doesn't have a relation of brotherlyhood, and therefore, from here we darshan that there's no payment of baishes by a eved kanani. Now, the Rabbanon though disagree with that, and they say, "Ochiv hu b'mitzvahs." That a eved kanani is. You do pay baishes, and the reason is because you could say that he's a brother. In what sense is he a brother? But regarding mitzvahs, because we know that we learn out the Evet Kanani is like a woman. Law. You learn from the Isha that he's chayiv in the mitzvahs just like a woman is chayiv in mitzvahs. He's parted from the mitzvahs to say shazman grama, but he's still chayiv in mitzvahs like a woman. So therefore he is considered to be a brother. That's the machlokes regarding baishes. Okay, so now the shaila is v'hacha heichi darish Rabbi Yehuda. Here, how does Rabbi Yehuda darshan? Over here, it also says achiv by as we quoted before, the lashon of the pasuk me'echav. So over here, why is Rabbi Yehuda saying that you would be chayiv if you steal a chatzi eved v'chatzi ben chayren? Why? How is Rabbi Yehuda darshaning over here? So the Gemara explains, Sava Rabbi Yehuda holds as follows. When it says in the pasuk that Kimatzi ish goynev nefesh mei echav mi b'nei Yisrael. That's the pasuk that we're going to darshan now. So first of all, when it says mei echav, from amongst your brothers, what is this coming to exclude? La fukei avodim. This excludes that an Evet Kanani is not included in this Chiyav Misa if one sells an or kidnaps and sells a Evet Kanani. Then the pasuk says it has to be b'nei Yisrael. So Bnei Yisrael, what is it adding? L'mutimi shechetzi eved v'chetzi ben chayrin. We already know that eved Kanani, you'll be potter for this. So then it's coming to add that even if it's a half eved and half ben chayrin, you will also be potter. But now there's another miyut in the pasuk, because it doesn't say in the pasuk Bnei Yisrael. It says Meyachov mi Bnei Yisrael. Why does it say that extra mem there? It could have said Meyachov Bnei Yisrael. Then it says mi Bnei Yisrael. So this is a second time to exclude this. Again, l'mutimi shechetzi eved v'chetzi ben chayrin. That's another time to exclude this exact same case of one that's half eved and half free. So now, since the pasuk here is writing twice the same exclusion, the rule is as follows: Havamiyat achamiyot. When the Torah excludes something once and a second time, ve'ei achamiyot ela l'rabbeis. If the Torah is writing an exclusion twice, then we actually say that it teaches us to be marbe, that this case is included in the iser and included in the chiyuv, that when one will kidnap a chatzi evet and chatzi ben chayren and sell him, you'll be chayiv for this. That's the source of Rabbi Yehuda in this case, that you chayiv. However, the Rabbanon in the Mishnah that disagreed with this, so they darshan differently. Me'echav, when the pasuk says Me'echav la'afuke avodim le'mashmaluhu. They don't darshan the word me'echav to say that it's a miyah to exclude one that will kidnap and sell a evet kanani, because according to their opinion, as we saw before, the ha'achiv hu b'mitzvahs. On the contrary, the word me'echav includes an evet kanani, because an evet kanani is someone that is a brother, because he's chayiv in mitzvahs like a woman. So therefore, according to them, if it would only say echav, you would say that it includes an evet kanani. He's also a brother. Now, when it says Bnei Yisrael, and then it says Mi Bnei Yisrael, it says another two miyutim here. Once it says Bnei Yisrael, and then it adds another mem, Mi Bnei Yisrael. So chad l'muti eved. One is to exclude that if you kidnap an eved, you'll be potter. And then the chad, when it says the mem, the extra mem, l'muti mishachetzi eved v'chetzi ben chayrin. If one kidnaps one that's half Evet and half Ben Chayrin, then you'll be Pater as well. So there's no double miyut to be marbe, there's just one miyut, and therefore you'll be Pater when one will sell a Evet or kidnap and sell a Chatzi Evet and Chatzi Ben Chayrin. Okay, so now this is all the psukim that the Gemara quoted till here. These are all psukim that say the einish, that when one kidnaps and sells, he'll be chayiv misa. But as we saw always in the Masechta here, whenever you have a einish, you have to have a azhara. You have to have a warning for this. Where's the warning for this? It says the Gemara azhara legain of nefesh minayin. Where's the warning in the Torah? Not to kidnap. Rabbi Yeshi says malay signov. When it says in the Aseres Adibros malay signov, it's not talking about stealing money. It's talking about kidnapping. That's the azhara. Rabbi Yechanan says the azhara is from what it says Miloi yimkaru mimkeres avet. Should not be sold like a slave is sold. Simply that pasuk is talking about that you shouldn't sell a yid like a Evet Kanani. Don't treat him like an Evet Kanani. But here Rabbi Yechanan is saying that this is also the warning in this regarding this issa when you kidnap, not to then go ahead and sell him. And the Gemara explains v'loy pligi. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Yechanan are not arguing about the source of the warning here. Rather, Mar kachoshev lav the gneva. Rabbi Yeshua is bringing the source. Where do you see the warning not to kidnap? Umar kachoshev lav the mechira. And Rabbi Yechanan is bringing the source for the next step, which is the warning not to go ahead and then sell him after you kidnapped him. Okay, so now here the Gemara will bring the source in a braise that will explain how do we know that leisigna even aseres adibros is not just referring to stealing money. How do you know that it's referring to kidnapping? So Tana Rabbana we learned in the braise leisigna when it says in the title leisigna even aseres adibros begainiv nefashos akasav medaber. It's talking about kidnapping. Now atohime begainiv nefashos. You're saying that it says that it means kidnapping. Maybe it refers to stealing money. So Amrit, you say you could learn out from the 13 principles of how we darshan Torah. And one of them is davar alamid me inyane, that you learn out to explain what a pasuk means from what the subject and that those psukim there is. Now, in the Aseres Adibros, what are the other things that it speaks about over there, before and after? Benefashos. It's speaking about Isurim where you're chayiv misa. When it says leisirtzach and leisinov and so on, these are all things that you're chayiv misa for it. Afkan benefashos. So here as well, when it says leisignoiv, it's talking about kidnapping and not just about stealing. Now, Tanya Idach, another brayse now clarifies in Parshas Kedoshim, where it says Lo Signoivu. So what does it mean here? When it says do not steal, Begoiniv Mammon Akosum Bedave. Here it's talking about not stealing money. Now here as well, the Gemara, the brayse clarifies the same point. Maybe it's speaking about kidnapping. So again, Amrit, you say Lamad Mishleshas and Midrash Atayrin Nidreshes Behen. Davar Alamid Min Yonai. We learn that it means whatever the subject there is talking about. Vameh Hakasav Medaber in Parshas Kedoshim. What is the pasuk speaking about? B'mamin. When a person is stealing from someone else's money. She brings one of the psukim there. It says Leisashek Esreyacha, money. So Afkan B'mamin. So the Leit Tignoivu in Parshas Kedoshim refers to money and not to kidnapping.
So the context of the Aseres Adibros is the context there. Leisignoiv.
Yeah,
Nefashos with human beings.
Correct.
Okay, so
yeah, or Isser, or the Einish of Nefashis, of Misa. Okay, the Gemara now here begins a new machlokes here regarding the subject of kidnapping. So as we saw here, the Isser and the Chiyuv of Misa, when it comes to kidnapping, there are two components. It has to be Geneva, that you kidnap, and then afterwards selling him. So Itmer, we learned the following machlokes: Eidei Geneva ve'eidei mechire. In a case where you have two different sets of witnesses. One comes and says that this person kidnapped. And then another set of witnesses come and say that he sold. Mechire benefesh. And he sold this person that he kidnapped. And then shehuzmu. They were both found to have said false testimony. Eidem zoymemin. So what's the halacha here? Chizkiya says, Einer rogin. They will not get the punishment of to kill them because they intended to kill this individual that they were accusing of doing this. It's not going to apply here. Rabbi Yechanan Omar, however, Rabbi Yechanan says neheragin, that they will, the einish of kashizamam will apply to both of these edim and they will get killed. And so Rashi now adds to this, just like they're arguing regarding these edim, when you have two sets of edim, whether the einish of kashizamam applies to them or not. If you say that the einish of kashizamam does not apply and they will not get killed, so that means that the person that they said edus about, if it's two different sets of witnesses, you're not going to be able to give him a chiyuv misa either. Because the rule always is, if the Eidim that are testifying, you cannot give them the punishment of Kasher Zaman. If they're Eidim Shi'at Yachal Azima, then their Eidus is not accepted to give this person the same punishment as well. So the only time, according to Chizkiah, that you can give a person a Chi of Misa for this Isser of Gain of Nefesh is if it's the same Eidim that are testifying that he kidnapped and he sold. Then those same Eidim, since the Einish of Kasher Zama would apply to them, their Eidus would be accepted now to give this person the Einish of Misa.
So he the promise that the Eidus was broken up?
Yeah, that is two different sets of Eidim, correct. That's why they will not get the Kasher Zama, and the person himself will not get the Einish either. That's according to Chizkiah. What Rabbi Yechanan says, no, Neharagin, they will be killed, and the person himself that they accused, if they would not be Eidim Zayman, they could give the Chi of Misa to this person. Okay, so now the Gemara explains what's the basis of their machlokes. Chizkiah, the Omar, ke Rabbi Akiva. Chizkiah holds like Rabbi Akiva. The Omar, Rabbi Akiva says that when it says in the Torah, the term davar, right? So it says in the Torah, the lashon in the pasuk is layakom al pishnaim edim yakom davar, right? So the word davar means v'loy chatzi davar. When you say eidos, the eidos has to be a complete eidos and not a half eidos. So what it means is regarding the eidim that testified on this person. So one set testified about half of the story, the other set testified about another half of the story, them about the gneva and them about the mechira. So the eidos on this person is not a complete eidos, so therefore it's not accepted as an eidos to give this person misa. In other words, the machlokes really begins not regarding the eidim zayimim themselves. It's really a shaila regarding what they're testifying on this person. Each set of the eidim are only saying a chatzi davar. Rabbi Yechanan Amar, however, Rabbi Yechanan says, Kerabanan. Rabbi Yechanan says, like the Rabbanan that disagree with Rabbi Akiva, the Amri, the Rabbanan say, Davar va'afilu chatzi davar. When it says in the Torah davar, it includes even this chatzi davar in such a kind of case. Not always. Taisus here brings us the discussion about this, but this kind of chatzi davar, when you have one set of Eidos that are saying that he stole, and another that he kidnapped, that is, and the other set of Eidim is saying that he sold him, that is considered to be a complete Eidos, that you could be mechai of this person misa for it, and therefore then there will be the einish of Kasher Zamim as well on these Eidim. Okay, so that's the basis of the machlokes here. But on this, now the Gemara says, Umayde Chizkiah that said regarding this case that you can't be mechayiv misa because it's a chatzi davar. However, Chizkiah will agree be'edim ha'achraynim shel ben Seirer u'mayre. Regarding the case of a ben Seirer u'mayre, there's also two stages to bring a ben Seirer u'mayre to the point of being a ben Seirer u'mayre. As we learned before in the Masechta here, what's the story with a ben Seirer u'mayre? The ben Seirer u'mayre, first you have to have an eidos that he acted like a ben Seirer u'mayre, which is that he steals money from his father and he then goes and buys meat and wine and he goes and eats it. So when that happens the first time and Eidim come and testify about this, so it says v'yisraisai, he's chayiv malchus. And then when it happens again a second time, then he'll be chayiv misa. So over there as well, similar to here, that there's two stages, there's the gneva and the mechira. There as well, there's the first set of Eidim and the second set of Eidim. So now the Gemara is saying that Chizkiah will be made by the Eidim Achrayim. When the second set of Eidim come, by the Ben Seirer and Meire, Shehuzmu, and they will be found to be saying false testimony about him, Sheneragin, that they will be chayiv misa because their eidos was there intended to give this person a chayiv misa. Why? Because because the first set of eidim it came and said about what this child did, this bar mitzvah bacha did, this ben Seirer and Meire did. They could say, look, lahal kaisei banu. The first set of Eidim, what happens when the first set of Eidim come and say that this person, this ben Seirer and Meire, did this the first time? He's chayiv malchus. So their eidos is already complete. And it's a separate thing. It's regarding Malchus. And therefore, Vahani Yachrini, now the second set of Eidim that come and testify that he did it again, and now he's going to be Chayiv Misa. So, Kuli Dava Ka'avdile. They are coming to say Eidos on a complete point, on a complete thing, that he's now Chayiv Misa. You can't say that it's a Chatzi Davar. See even Chizkiah that says that when there's an Eidos, where it's two components, that it's considered to be a Chatzi Davar, and therefore you can't combine it. There has to be one set of Eidos that's saying it all, but not in this case. When the first Eidim, there's a separate Einish for that, Malchus, so that's already complete for the first Eidos, and then the second set of Eidos, there's an Einish of Misa, it's a separate thing. So in this case, Chizkiah will be made that the second set of Eidim will be Chayiv Einish Kasher Zamam if they're found to be false Eidim. Okay, so so now based on this, the Gemara asks, Maskef lo Rav Papa. Rav Papa asks, Ihachi, if that's true, b'negeta ben seirah d'mayra, you should apply the same thing over here. When you have over here the two sets of Edom, the first set that said that he kidnapped, and then the second set that came and said that he sold. So by the Edom of the Mechira, I should say the same thing, that Liktelu, they should be Chayiv Misa for what they said. Why? Because the same exact point. Because the first set of Edom that are saying they kidnapped, so those set of Edom will say, Lahal Kaisei Banu, that our Eidos is Mechayiv and Malchus. As the Gemara here is going to now elaborate and explain that if there's only Edom for Geneva, when one kidnaps and he did not then go and sell, there's no Chiyuv Misa, but there is a Chiyuv of Malchus. So therefore the first set of Edom are saying that we only wanted to give him Malchus, and then the second set of Edom that come and testify that he sold, they're coming to be Mechayiv Misa. So it's separate. They're not contingent one on another. So if that's the case, it's two separate things. So Chizkiah should be made in this case that the Eidei Mechire should be Chayiv Misa for this. Now, if you'll argue and say the Kesava Chizkiah, that maybe Chizkiah holds the Loi Loki, that if there's just Eidei Geneva that he kidnapped, that alone, that there is no Malchus for this, but that's not true. And the Gemara here will bring that it's actually a Machlokes. Chizkiah himself argued about this with Rabbi Yechanan. Because Vayetmar, we learned the Machlokes about this. Eidei Geneva b'nefesh huzmo. If all you have is Edom, that someone get kidnapped. And then those Edom were found to say false testimony. So Chizkiah and Rabbi Yechanan argued about this. Chadomar loikin. One of them says that you give Malchus now for these Edom Zaymimin, just like they wanted to give him Malchus. So they also get Malchus for this. V'chadomar, another opinion is ein loikin. Just for Eidos on kidnapping, there is no Malchus, and therefore they do not get any Malchus if they're found to be false testimony. Now, V'amrinon, and about this Machlokes regarding just kidnapping, is there Malchus for this separately? And here regarding the Edom Zaymin, whether there's Malchus on this. So it was said about this Tistayim that it could be proven. The Chizkiah, the Amar, Chizkiah is the one that said loikin, that you will get Malchus just for the kidnapping itself by the Edom Zaymin. Why? Because Midama Chizkiah, based on what we learned before, the Machlokes of Chizkiah and Rabbi Yechanan. Because Chizkiah said, Ein Erogin. Chizkiah says that when you have just Edom that are saying Eidos on the Geneva, and another set of Edom that are saying Eidos on the Mechire, they're not going to be Chayiv Misa. None of them are going to be Chayiv Misa. So now, if none of them are going to be Chayiv Misa, so in such a case, you could say that there's going to be a Chiyuv of Malchus. Now, what the Gemara here is saying, as we'll see, is based on the rule, when it comes to Malchus, there's no Malchus on a lav where the punishment for this Isser is Misa. If there's a punishment of Misa, so that's Misa, it's not Malchus. If it's no Misa, then you could say it's Malchus. So Chizkiah, as we said before in such a case, where Edom just said that he kidnapped and there's no Misa, so then I could say that there would be Malchus. Because the Rabbi Yechanan, if you would say that Rabbi Yechanan should say that there's Malchus, that can't be. Kiv and Da'aman Rogin, since Rabbi Yechanan says that when the Edom said that he kidnapped, and then other set of Edom come and say that then he sold. So then if the second set of Edom come and say that he sold, there will be a Chiyuv Misa, Havale Lav Shenitin Lazharas Misas Bezdin. So this is a lav where the warning for this is that that it could come to a Chiyuv of Misas Bezdin. Chol Lav Shenitin Lazharas Misas Bezdin. The rule is, anytime you have a lav where it's a warning for that if you're going to do this, you'll be Chayiv Misa, Ein Loiken Olav. There's no Chiyuv Malchus for this. Right? So over here in this case, Rashi explains, even the Edom for the Geneva, although the Edom of the Geneva itself, if it remains just by Geneva, and there's no Mechire that comes afterwards, there won't be any Misa for this, but nevertheless, the very fact that his Edus on the kidnapping could lead to a Chiyuv of Misa, and he's being warned. He's being warned that this is, you're saying a kind of Edus that he kidnapped that could lead to a Misas Bezdin. That itself is a reason that according to Rabbi Yechanan, this is considered to be a law of Avasharis Misas Bezdin, and there's no Malchus on this. So the point of here is, by Ben Seder and Mayra,
same thing.
That what? That it could lead to a Misas Bezdin. And over there it said that Loiken. Okay, you're right. I'm not sure about that. Okay, so now the point that the Gemara is saying here is, what do we see from all of this? The opinion of Chizkiah. That Chizkiah is the one that said that Edom Zaymim that testified just about kidnapping, there'll be a Chiyuv of Malchus on this. Okay, so now the Gemara concludes the question here that Rav Papa is asking, if you're going to say that a person that was just accused and there was Adam that he kidnapped. So if you're going to say that he doesn't get any malchus, so eno hechelaki, how would the Adam get malchus for this? So obviously Chizkiah holds, we just proved there that Chizkiah says that the Adam get malchus. Why did the Adam get malchus? Because they wanted to give the malchus to this person that they testified that he kidnapped. So what we see over here is that the Eidos on the Geneva, which is the kidnapping, then the Eidos on the Mechira, when they sell, is two separate Eidos. The Eidos on the kidnapping is an Eidos from Malchus. Then the second Eidos that he then went and sold is an Eidos that will be Mechayiv Misa. And in such a case, Chizkiah should be Maide that the second set of Eidim that are testifying that he sold should be Chayiv Misa. You can't say that it's dependent on the first Eidos, that it's connected to it. It's not. The first Eidos is on Malchus, and the second Eidos is on the Misa. That's the question of Rav Papa here. So therefore, Rav Papa says the pshat or the machlokes between Chizkiah and Rav Yechon is different. Elam Rav Papa. So therefore, Rav Papa says, be'edei mechire. In this case, when you have these two sets of edim, one that's saying that it was a geneva, the kidnapping, and then the second set of edim that said that he sold. So if it's regarding the second set of edim regarding the selling, the kul alma lepligi, everybody would agree the neherogen, that these edim are going to be killed. Whether you hold like Chizkiah, because as the Gemara just explained, the first set of Eidim is for Malchus, the second set of Eidim is for Misa. Or if you hold like Rabbi Yechanan says that there is no Malchus for the first set of Eidim, so they are connected to each other, but Rabbi Yechanan holds that even for a Chatzi Davar, it's an Eidus, and you'll still be Chayiv Misa for this. So regarding that, there's no argument here. Kipligi, where's the argument? Be'ed Geneva. The argument of Chizkiah and Rabbi Yechanan was regarding the first Eidim. Chizkiah says that the first set of Eidim are not going to be killed if they're found to be Eidim Zaymimin because Geneva l'chudekaime or Mechira l'chudekaime. When the Torah says that the Isser consists of two stages, but these two stages could be counted separately. For the Geneva Yechayiv Malchus, and then for the Mechira afterwards, when you sell, there's a Chayiv of Misa. It's two separate things. So therefore, for the first set of Eidim that are speaking just about the kidnapping, it's a separate thing of Malchus. So there's no Misa for that. However, Rabbi Yechanan says Neharagin, that when you have the first set of Eidim for Geneva, and then afterwards it follows up by Misa, there is going to be a Chi of Misa even for the first set of Eidim, because he holds Geneva Aschalta the Mechirihi. It's really all connected. Rabbi Yechanan says that the Geneva is the beginning of this that he's chayiv misa for later when he sells the person that he kidnapped. It's all really one long thing over here, which means, according to Rabbi Yechanan, when you kidnap, the person is not going to be chayiv malchus for this, because the kidnapping is really the beginning of what he's doing to bring him to a chayiv misa. Then when he sells, it's just completing that issa that he did in the beginning by selling. By kidnapping, that is. And therefore, according to Rabbi Yechanan, it's all one long thing, and therefore, even for a chatzi davar, you chayiv the chatzi davar, the edus of a chatzi davar is accepted, and therefore, by edum zaymimin, they'll be chayiv misa for this. Okay, now the Gemara goes back to the case of Ben Seirer Umayre. Umayre Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yechanan, now based on this, the Gemara says that Rabbi Yechanan will be Maide that be'edum arishainim shall Ben Seirer Umayre. By the Edom of by the first set of Edom of the Ben Seirer Umayre Shehuzmu She'ein Aragim, that over there they will not be killed, and the reason is Mitoich She'yechalim Loimar Lahal Kaisei Bono. So I think this is the point that I think that you said before, right? This is what the Gemara is saying here. That by the Ben Seirer Umayre, now the Gemara is saying that Rabbi Yechanan will actually agree to this. That by the Ben Seirer Umayre, it's obvious that the first set of Edom that come for that Yechayiv Malchus, when he does it the first time, and then when he repeats it a second time, he's stealing from his father and he's eating and so on, it's only the second time that you'll be chayiv misa. So therefore, in such a case, the first set of Eidim will not be chayiv misa, because that's a separate thing of Malchus. Here Rabbi Yechanan will agree. Now the Gemara brings actually regarding the case of Ben Seirer Umayre that there are different cases over here. Omar Abaye said that Hakol Maidim be Ben Seirer Umayre. By Ben Seirer Umayre, everybody, there's a certain case by Ben Seirer Umayre that everybody will agree that you're potter. And Vakal Maida Ben Seirer Umayre, there's another case where everybody will be in agreement by Ben Seirer Umayre, but that you're chayiv. And then also a third case, Umachloikis Ben Seirer Umayre. Then there's a case where there's an argument here between Chizkiah and Rabbi Yechanan regarding Ben Seirer Umayre. And the Gemara explains, Hakal Maida Ben Seirer Umayre be'edem arishainim. Everybody will agree, as we just said, regarding the first set of Eidim, that come and say regarding the Ben Seder and Meira, when he does what he does the first time, she'ein eragim. Those Eidim are not going to be killed. Because what they say, when it happens the first time, they just wanted to be Mechayev and Malchus. That's simple. And also, everybody will agree by the Ben Seder and Meira when it comes to the second time. When the Eidim come and say that he did it a second time, now these Eidim will be Chayiv Misa, because the first set of Eidim were only there to give a Malchus. And Vahani, and now these second Eidim here, Kule Dova Kavdile. Their Eidus is not a Chatzi Dovar, it's a new Eidus, what's now coming to be Mechayiv Misa. And it's not contingent, it's not connected to the first set of Eidim. And even Chizkiah will agree in this case that it's a full Dovar, it's not a Chatzi Dovar, and therefore they are going to be Chayiv Misa. Now Machlokes, where does the Machlokes of Rabbi Yochanan and Chizkiah apply? So again, as the Gemara said before, the Machlokes of Rabbi Yochanan and Chizkiah is like the Machlokes of Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanon, whether a Eidus of Chatzi Davar is accepted or not, in this kind of a case. So by Ben Seder and Meira, the application of that will be, Machlokes, by Ben Seder and Meira, that's if Shnayim Aimrim, B'fanenu Ganav. In order for a child to be a Ben Seder and Meira, it has to be that he first steals money from his father, and then he buys with that wine and meat, and he goes and eats it in another reshus somewhere. So they have one set of Eidim that are saying that he stole money from his father, and another two Eidim come and say, B'fanenu achal, that in front of us he ate the meat, then he drank the wine in someone else's reshus. So in such a case is the machlokes where they're all saying Eidos that together he'll be chayiv misa. But each set of Eidim are only saying a chatzi davar of what the Chiyav Misa here is. So, and this is the case where Chizkiah says that Ein Arag, and this is a chatzi davar, and therefore there's no Chiyav of Misa for the Eidim Zaymimin, and therefore for the Ben Seder and Meira himself. And Rabbi Yochanan says that there will be a Chiyav Misa even in this case. Ravasi said, Eidei Mechire Benefesh. If all we have in front of us right now is Eidim that come and say that they saw somebody selling someone. Shahuzmu, and then they were found to be false Eidim, Ein Aragen. We can't give them the Einish of Kashazamam to kill them for intending to give a Misa to this person that they said sold somebody. Why? Because the person that they accused of selling someone can come and say, Abdi Macharti, I didn't steal him, I didn't kidnap him and sell him, I just was selling my own slave. So therefore, the Eidim that said this testimony, if all they said is that we saw someone selling someone, that there's no Eidus over here that they intended to give him a Chiyav of Misa. So that's, So Amar Rav Yosef, on this Rav Yosef said, Kamanos lahosh maita de Rav Asi. So now seemingly, according to whose opinion, there's this halacha that Rav Asi said go according to, Rabbi Akiva. It seems to follow the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, the Amar, Dovar, v'loy chatzi Dovar. That only if your Eidus was a full Dovar, a full Eidus, then the Eidus will be accepted, and then there'll be an Einish of Kashazamim as well, but not if it's a chatzi Dovar. So in this case, since the Eidim are only Eidus for the selling and not for the kidnapping, so therefore over here there won't be any Chiyav Misa. But the Gemara says on this, it can't be. Amalei Abaye. So Abaye says to Rav Yosef, the Ikar Rabbanon Nerogin? What are you saying? You're saying that according to the Rabbanon, that say that even by a chatzi davar, that the Eidus is an Eidus that you chayiv misa for it, that in this case, if the Eidim, all they're saying is that we saw this person selling someone, but they didn't see any kidnapping at all. In such a case, according to the Rabbanon, these Eidim will be killed if they're found to be Eidim Zaymimin. How? He said a very simple svara. These Eidim could say, we didn't say anything about kidnapping. So all we said is that he sold someone. So in such a kind of a case, it's not even a chatzi davar at all. Over here, there's stam, a person could say, I'm just selling my own slave. How are these Eidim not going to be chayiv misa if they're found to be false? So therefore Abaye says, afilu teimer Rabbanan. In such a case, even the Rabbanan will agree. There was no Eidim b'chlal that he ever kidnapped this person that he sold. So in such a case, the Eidim never intended to give a chiyav misa. Says the Gemara, if that's the case, if there's no Eidim that he ever kidnapped this person that he sold, Yochi Mailam Emra. So then what's the Chiddush here? Obviously, in such a case, when you're just testifying that someone sold someone, there's no Chiyav Misa involved, he sold his own Eved. Says the Gemara, no, the Chiddush over here is in such a case. The Afal Gav, the Asul B'Saif. After these Eidim testified that someone sold somebody, later on, Eidei Geneva, Eidim did show up to say that this is someone that he kidnapped. And that's the case where the Chiddush over here is that the Eidim that said that he sold this person will not be Chayiv Misa. But the Gemara asks on this as well, Va'akati ma'ila memre, still what's the chiddush to this? When the Eidim testified that he sold someone, there was no Eidos before that he kidnapped. So when they testified, their intention was not to give him a misa. There was no Eidim yet that he kidnapped anybody. So what's the chiddush about this? Says the Gemara, no, the chiddush, and the case of here is that those Eidim that are saying later testimony that he kidnapped, they already are here before. They're not testifying yet, but they're here before. The Kameramzi Rumuzi. They're standing already in the Bezdin and they're making a sign. They're indicating to the Bezdin or to the people that are saying Eidos that he's selling, that we know that he kidnapped. So they're making a remes that they're going to testify about this. Somehow, I would think, Remize Milsehi, the fact that these Eidim are testifying that he sold someone. And they already get the hint from the other set of Eidim that they're going to testify that he kidnapped them before. So I would think that therefore they intended to give this person Mise. Kamash Malon, and that's the chiddush over here that Rav Asi said, Lav Klumu, that when they said the Eidos that he sold someone, there wasn't yet another group of Eidim that said before that he kidnapped, and therefore these Eidim that said that he sold someone are not going to be chayiv misa for this. There's no kasha zomam in such a kind of case.
Yeah, I can understand why kidnapping